Guys, your ability to set goals can get you to your next level. So why are so many high school athletes failing to set goals? Today, we're going to talk about not only how to set goals, but how to set good goals. Let's go. First and foremost, most adults don't even set goals. So it makes sense that most high school athletes don't set goals. We go about our training and our practices and our competitions, and we're constantly striving to improve ourselves physically, in our game, in our performance, but we're never taking the time to stop and say, what is it that I actually want? And I'm telling you, if you're doing this, you're leaving money on the table. Why? Because goals are our God power. Goals are literally the creative part of us that gets to dictate what it is we want, what it is we're here to accomplish. I think back to the Bible when God gave Adam the opportunity to name all the animals. He was literally teaching him how to be creative, how to think something and manifest it. And we all have this power. This is what separates us from common animals. And I, even as a high school athlete, did not begin to use this power and activate it until I got to college. And I use it so much as an adult. I read a study the other day that says only 3% of people even set goals. And of those 3% who set goals, those who write down their goals are 3 times more likely to accomplish them. Like Myron Golden says, thinking is the hardest job most people never do. And we have to stop and take time to set good goals. And so what I want to do today is make goal setting simple for high school athletes. And we're going to do this through a simple concept known as team, league, and me goals. We're going to structure our goals in a way that makes more sense for high school athletes. And this is because often when you tell a high school, a teenager, you can basically set any goal you want, the sky's the limit, they have no context, okay? Why is this? It's because parents set goals for kids. That's it. That's kind of our role. We structure their lives until they have the autonomy and the knowledge and the expertise to do it for themselves. And often the teenage years are the in-between years where it's sometimes more parent than it should be, and we're working to shift that autonomy over into their purview. And I always talk about getting into go mode, and that involves acceleration. That involves getting in some sort of vehicle and literally going. Well, even though that is symbolic in nature, during their teenage years, this is a real time where they actually get the keys to the car, right? They actually learn to drive and they learn to go out and make decisions on their own. And it's the same thing in their life. They're getting the keys to the vehicle of life and they have to learn how to drive it. And so, as I always say, enlightenment is everlasting. And so even though we're talking about learning good goals for the sake of being better basketball players, this skill will open up doors in every area of their life. I'm telling you, I've seen it. I've manifested houses and cars and careers and relationships just through good goals, just through establishing good goals in my everyday walk. And so here are some tips on how student athletes can begin to set good goals today. Hey guys, now I always tell you that your success is going to be based on what you put into it. However, there is a such thing as your environment, and your environment is going to play a major factor in how high you ascend on your high school journey as an athlete. If you are anxious or just don't feel that you and your environment are aligned, and I'm talking about your school here, check out our school selection guide for serious student athletes. Just go to jp3training.com and begin to walk through our free ebook. It's less than 10 pages. It's going to give you the questions you need in order to determine whether or not your school's a good fit. If we can help you in any way, please reach out. But go ahead and start with that guide, because what I find is that environment is essential and engagement is everything. And the more we can plug into the right environment, the higher student athletes are engaged and the higher their levels of success. Let's start off with team goals. Team goals are the key to starting your goal-setting transformation. Why? Because every student athlete has a team. They understand the dynamics of the team, the coach, the other players, where they are on the pecking order, where they are in the grand scheme of things. And if you can just begin to set goals within your team structure, maybe you want to be the best rebounder on the team. Maybe you want to be the best leading scorer on the team. I'm fine with you even saying, I want to be in the top 3 of steals, or top 3 in assists, or I want to be the first person off the bench, or I want to be in the top what have you within the team structure, okay? This is going to allow you on an everyday basis to understand where you are in relation to those that you hang around and you compete with and you're growing with and developing and you're striving with on a day-to-day basis. So what does this look like? If I am striving to be a top 3 scorer on my team, well, I see that in training, the other top 2 or 3 scorers are working hard. I see how they prepare. I see how I am in comparison to them on a day-to-day basis. Am I as focused as they are in our shooting drills? Am I as serious as they are about their footwork? All of these things are going to remind you on a day-to-day basis, if this is truly a good goal for you, on how you need to carry yourself. And I don't care if this is freshman ball, JV ball, varsity ball, it doesn't matter, because you just need some people in your circle that are going to push you. And developing a team goal is going to help get you across that threshold. So many athletes are doing everything under the sun to improve as players. And it's necessary, right? I don't care if it's the skill work, the speed, the strength, the stretching, it's all necessary. But what so many athletes are missing is the mental side. And that's why I say, before we perfect our grinds, we've got to perfect our mind. It's what's between our ears that's going to get us to produce higher and higher results. And that's why we've created the Athlete Ascension Community. We call it our AAC. AAC is designed to take young high school athletes from growth mode to go mode. Growth mode is passive. It's happening every day when they wake up. They're getting taller, they're getting stronger, they're getting smarter, at least in their own minds. But so many athletes are missing their window to get into go mode and accelerate and use and maximize their talents and strengths. That is why we meet every single Saturday from 12 to 12:15 Central Standard Time. We live stream from YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, and so many other sites. So even if they're on the road, traveling, or on vacation, or at work, they can watch it right then and there. And our live share list is constantly growing. What's greatest about our AAC Masterclass is that it's completely free for high school student athletes. Just go to jp3training.com to learn more and get from growth mode to go mode. Now, the next goal we need to set are league goals, okay? And whereas team goals are very local in nature, league goals are more global in nature, because they allow us to take a step back and see us in the entire context of maybe a city or a county. And if you're ever going to get to beyond that level to get statewide or national recognition, it starts with being the best on your team and then being the best in your league, or at least one of the best. In order to do so, we have to set league goals. League goals are going to allow us to take a step back and understand where we are in the grand context of things, even in our teams as a whole within a league. So what do I mean by that? Maybe your team isn't very good or mediocre, or maybe they're one of the top teams. Well, you're going to understand that by being the best within my team, establishing myself, building my square, who I am, my identity as a player within my team, how is that going to project into the league? Because what I find is a lot of student athletes get really good within the team structure and then they get comfortable. And you're not recognizing that you have to go out and compete. Well, this is easy to do because from March all the way up to November, December, we're often just competing within our teams. Other than a few summer camps, and summer leagues, we're all about team and trying to level up in the team rankings. Well, we have to remember that our team competes in a league, in a district, in a conference, at state playoffs, whatever the case may be, regionals, and we're going to ultimately be compared to the entire league. And when I say league, I mean that in a generic standpoint, whether that be the district, the conference, or the state. And what I'm trying to tell you is that your goals should then level up from team goals into league goals. And how do we do this? Once you get a context of your league, and maybe this is going to be more difficult for those of you that are seeing the league for the first time, but this is really big for those of you who've already played a year in your particular league. What you want to do is look at the league and establish your goals just like you did on the team level. You want to be one of the top scorers, or one of the top rebounders, or one of the top in steals or assists, or one of the top in deflections. It's okay even to make goals that aren't statistical in nature. Maybe you want to take the most charges in a particular league. Maybe you want to be the one that gets scored on the least in a particular league, okay? These are just goals that are surrounded by a particular context, because what I believe you need to understand is that if you can begin to cultivate an understanding of where you are in the grand scheme of things, where you rank within the grand scheme of things, where people view you. This is a self-assessment, okay? And when we can do that, we naturally, as human beings, want to evolve. We want to be better, right? And so there's the saying that we're an average of the people we hang around. And if you begin to mentally put yourself in higher circles, that's who you're hanging around. Maybe you're a freshman who's on the bench this year for varsity, but you see a freshman that's on another team that's starting, and you say, I want to be the top sophomore in the league next year. I want to be in the top 3 sophomores when it comes to minutes played next year, or scoring, or rebounding. Now you begin to put yourselves in that circle, even though nobody else may see you in those circles yet. And so this is another way to really get to setting good goals. So after we go from team goals, then to league goals, we then want to go to transition to me goals. And these are goals that are all about me being a better player and person. These are character goals or specific skill deficiency goals that we want to improve. Maybe you're struggling at the free throw line and you want to improve your free throw percentage by 10%. Maybe you're needing to establish better body language and you want to improve your reaction to negative things happening. Maybe you're someone who needs to be a better floor general and you need to know the plays better. You need to have better communication with your coach. Any of these things can be me goals that are tied to you, who you are, who you've been in the past, and getting you to a better future, okay? If we can begin to see ourselves in these 3 distinct areas, who am I in the context of my team? Who am I in the context of my league? Who am I in the context of myself? These things will begin to move you forward faster. Just as I mentioned earlier, the statistics don't lie. Once you begin to see yourself and once you begin to have self-awareness, it's inevitable that you move forward. It's inevitable that you begin to progress faster and faster because you now have a desired outcome. You now have a direction. Where, as we call it, you now have a distinct drive. And we have to get from growth mode into go mode by establishing good goals. Now, as I mentioned, I want to keep this tutorial on goal setting very simple. So after setting those goals, all I'm going to tell you is to review them regularly. Whether that means once a day, whether that means multiple times a day, whether that means once a week, whether that means once a month, it's going to be up to you. But what you should know is that reviewed goals equals a renewed grind. What this means is if you want to turn up to the highest levels of engagement and awareness and really bring your all to every single time you step onto that court, then just review your goals more. Because what that's going to do is get you into that mindset, into that heart set, into that spiritual set more regularly. You're going to see yourself and understand these contexts that we talked about. You're going to recognize that this is what I want. I've told myself I've got to be one of the top 3 freshmen in the league this year, or I've told myself I want to be the sophomore that gets the most minutes on my team this year. Whatever the case may be, the more you review your goals, the more you renew your grind. And so it's up to you, basically. The more you want it, the more serious you say you are, the more you'll review your goals. The less you want it, the less engaged you are, the less you review your goals. And that's what more and more athletes have to understand on this journey, is that ultimately this entire ride is up to you. Your parents can do as much as they can do. They can help you. They can give you the resources. They can support you with good words and good energy. But ultimately, your journey is going to be determined by how much you put into it. Okay? So thanks for watching. And as always, we'll see you next video.